The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 8th day of March, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications, People's Pharmacy, and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry, happy International Women's Day to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Jamal. That sounds much better in front of company.
Well, I mean, folks, basically, I didn't know that we were supposed to say Happy International Women's Day, like Happy New Year and Happy Birthday and Happy this and Happy that. So I kind of, started while saying it to Leanna and Sherry backstage, and I guess I got disciplined then. So, I
and
know
Leanna did it. And Leanna did it.
Oh, she
and
did. You all think she's so small and innocent, and oh man, it's another side to it. It's another side to
and
it.
I love it, and I'm here for it.
Scrappy do. All righty. Let's get to it. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. We have another good one today as we welcome Katarina Hoskins, the founder and co-chair of International Women's Day Bermuda, to the show to discuss International Women's Day. Daily Play is a remember when, so a bit of history for you all. And let's just say it's about a woman. Hint. Hint.
Oprah? No.
Yeah, that would be something. I have done patterns like that before. I have. Well, folks, if you are a woman in the audience, if you are a man who knows a woman in the audience, if you love women, if you have women around you, if you work with women, if you have women in your family, this show is for you. Not just today, but every day. But the question of the morning, I think, is most appropriate is, has Bermuda made enough progress with women professionally and socially? I'm just going to use our company as an example. There's 3 people, and 2 of the 3 at the head are women. Our advisory board is led by a woman. But see, for me, I think a bit differently. And I know that most people think representation. I think ability. And I think that women are just as able, but we have almost been forced to look at them as not as able. So I'm happy and proud that even with this show, most times, because Larry decides to leave me on my own, Phil shows up once a year, and so I'm stuck with mainly women who want to bully me backstage and then act all nice and innocent in front of the cameras. But that's another show, folks. That's another show. But appreciating the women. And so the question of the morning: has Bermuda made enough progress with women professionally and socially?
Well, Jamal, you already know, as you have 2 women along with you at the helm of this business of what it is that we can do and what we bring to the table. I do believe that women have made some progress, but it's still always, I think, will always be a challenge to be put in front and considered further than males. Like you said, is ingrained in us that males, can do things better or come up with better situations or ideas, but it's not always the case. And as far as Bermuda is concerned, We got Flora, who won the, Olympics. We have many females in government right now, but it's still a lot of work to be done. When we talk about the private sector, definitely a male-driven industry. Social services, mainly a female-driven industry, but we're not very much at the very top. So it's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to where women are placed.
Yeah, we had discussed statistics. I think sometime last year, last summer, we discussed statistics of women in the workplace and the percentages that
Yes.
they make up. And then it was divided in terms of Black women as well. And it wasn't favorable. But it's interesting because I had a conversation with a gentleman probably about 4 years ago, 2018, and
Mhm.
said that Bermuda is probably further along than most countries, right? Bermuda has had 3 women leaders, I believe, in Dame Pamela Gordon, Dame Jennifer Smith, and then the Honorable Paula Cox. So I think Bermuda's had 3 women leaders. Is when you look globally, that's unheard of. The United States, for instance, just has its first woman vice president. So
Right.
there are people that say, well, Bermuda has been a leader in terms of women making now professionally, without statistics again in front of you. What we should be proud of is we do have, let's use uh, Dr. Duranda Green. She's a woman and she's the president at the Bermuda College, right? Another
Mm.
woman in a place where, traditionally you might see men. Uh, Kamal Richards, the Commissioner of Education, she was the principal at Cedar Bridge, right? She
Yes.
another woman.
Hmm.
And then we go to the international business sector, and we just recently had Kathy Duffy on, right?
Yes.
A woman. No, let me make this point because I've made it about Patrick Tennant, who's in the international business sector. I remember I said it recently that so often you used to hear people, politicians mainly, using him as an example of what you can be and what you can become. But the fact you can only pick that one person, right? Or always use that one person as an example was a problem. So my point is, are we to the point where we can only pick a handful of women who have advanced? Or is this part of the culture now? Is this part of who we are? We have so many women who are doing good things, but are they being given the fair opportunities, the same opportunities? Are the barriers being broken, or is it just optics? Is it
Mm.
just optics?
Mm. I think it's optics. It's we're here. We want to do a job. We want to advance. We don't want it to be given to us,
Mhm.
but we also want to be, as I said yesterday, we want to be on the same playing field and
Mhm.
be given the same opportunity. Now, I do understand in regards to when we talked about athletes and are we giving women enough vision and enough support when it comes to the athletic realm. Maybe two different positions and two different conversations.
Mhm.
But with that being said, we still want to be given the same opportunities from the get-go. And it tends to be that it's kind of an afterthought, like, okay, well, let's make up some numbers. And that's not what we're here for. Because we really are just as smart. Most women go to school more than men, but a man who didn't go to school and who wasn't educated in that sense can be put in front of a woman who has been. And I'm just talking about what is the job description, not whether or not you should go to school or not. Sometimes that's what it's based on, but that's what we have to deal with.
So I guess in your so to answer this question, you don't feel like Bermuda has made enough progress with women professionally and socially?
I believe that we have made some, but I feel
Mhm.
like we still have a ways to go.
Mhm.
Um, where you're just considered equal in different spaces
Mhm.
and not an afterthought.
Yeah. I mean, to answer this question, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I'm a man. I don't know if Bermuda has made enough progress with women professionally and socially. I think if I'm looking at the optics, if and again optics, it would seem so. It would
Hmm.
seem so, but then just think of Minister Renee Ming, right before she was appointed a minister. She had gave an impassioned speech in the House of Assembly about the lack of women in cabinet, right? And
Yeah.
then soon after she was in cabinet. Now, again, we can look back and say we've had 3 women leaders, but then in present day, if you look, it's like, well, where are the women at the forefront? We're
Mm-hmm.
politically, professionally. I do think Bermuda is ahead of many other places. I do.
Yeah.
I do think that Bermuda, if you ask most women in the corporate sector what country they'd want to go to move up the ladder, I don't think Bermuda would be low on that list. I think we would be high on that list. I do think we'll be high on that list.
I still think in that corporate sector, of course, it's a doggy dog, scrappy type of situation even to get there. And it's interesting that you would say that, because it's then comes down to what do women have to give up versus men to get to
Mhm.
that position.
Mm,
So and that's the other part of it. What do we give up?
mm,
And a lot of times I feel like it's a lot more, or
mhm.
the compromise is a lot more than, again, uh, he's a man, you know.
Indeed, indeed. Question of the morning, folks. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Has Bermuda made enough progress with women professionally and socially? Shika Reyna says, professionally, women in Bermuda seem to have made strides. I never experienced the male versus female thing until I was in the workplace in the US. Socially, at least my Bermuda family, not much progress. Interesting.
Hmm.
So, so let me just understand. So women in Bermuda seem to have made strides professionally from your perspective, but socially, you don't believe so. Interesting. Interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting. And what's an example socially, Shika? Just give an example of what why you believe, at least in your family, socially. And you don't have to go into much detail, but just want to understand what do you mean
Your
by they haven't
perspective.
made much progress socially. But I like that. Go ahead, Sherry.
I was gonna say, even if you look at entrepreneurship, who is probably the highest, you know, scale in the fence as far as entrepreneurs in Bermuda, feel like women is leading the pack in that. At least that's what's being presented. Women tend to, find that hustle and that grind, even
Mhm,
in these smaller spaces, to
mhm,
be put forth. But most women are leading the entrepreneurship, I would
mhm.
definitely say, as of right now in Bermuda.
Indeed. Sam Cat Play says, when men can recognize and respect women who make decisions without feeling like they have to take control and mansplain is when progress will be made. Women are always compromised and don't get credit. Interesting.
Hmm.
What's mansplain? Is that like that's like a man trying to explain?
Like they have to take a trip and
Oh,
explain like a man.
okay. I got you. I get it. Shigarena says family is very patriarchal. Okay, got you. Got you. Like
Hmm.
and okay, no, go no further. Philip Trott says, as a man, I don't think it's up to me to say whether we've made progress. I think our role is to act like there's always room for improvement and to support where we can. Um, well, I disagree a bit, because if the
Yeah,
man is in charge of setting laws and policies, then I do think it's we have a say in that. If the majority of those passing legislation and policies impact women, then I think we do have a say in that. So I take
yeah.
your point. From a social perspective, like we there are certain conversations we should not enter, certain spaces that we need to respect. But I think that men being in positions that they have a responsibility to ensure equity for women so that they can enjoy the progress that they deserve.
And I think it's a generational thing. It can be at times, and then we also have a mindset of an island.
Mhm,
A lot of times you will hear Bermudian women say, "Oh, he's such a traditional Bermudian man," and
mhm,
then we as women watch other Bermudian women, how we cater to certain situations, and we take that
mhm,
on,
mhm.
as well as in employment situations as well. So it's just interesting in that sense.
Traveling Trotty says it depends on the industry. In education and social services, great strides. However, in other areas, not so much, i.e., construction. Well, that's a good point. But do we know if there are women who have wanted to make strides in other areas like construction? I definitely see your point, because you are more likely to see women in education and social services up the ranks. And I made two examples in using Dr. Duranda Green and Kamal Richards. And then social services, the majority of people we've had on regarding social services were women.
Let me just chime in on that, because I think women are groomed to be teachers and groomed to be social workers and take care of other people and other things. Are we groomed to be in corporate places? No. Go and be a teacher, go, be a social worker. We're not groomed to say go and be a businesswoman. So you will, and especially that the generations that are in there now, in those spaces now, in the 80s, 90s, that's what you were told to do.
Are you
Or
groomed to do
not
construction
told to
and
do,
build
but
houses?
pardon me?
Are you groomed to do construction and build houses?
No.
Case in point. That's my point.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
no.
case in point. Karen
Mhm.
Simmons, Sherry.
Professionally, strides have been made ever so slightly. Too many compromises, giving up opportunities are expected of women. Socially, progress is being made in circle, respect, and listening.
Mhm. It's interesting because professionally, I'm just gonna go back my last 3 jobs, including the current one, right? Well, even doing this show, right? Literally, I report to women. My
Yes.
day job, I report to a woman. The job before that, in sports, Florida, I reported to a woman. Before
And
that,
right
I
now,
reported to 2 women. So, like, literally, right on this show, Leanna and Sherry. So for me, I mean, being married, I report to a woman, but I never thought of that till just now. I'm like, literally, I don't think I've had a male boss that I report to since since before I went to graduate school. Yeah, so it's interesting that I can honestly say I don't think that I've noticed it until now.
oh, and
Yeah,
who was at the forefront of your life?
well, Mama Hartman. Yeah, Mama Hartman.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing, I think that's probably because that's probably why I didn't take notice, because growing up in a house with women, and I don't know, I just never took notice until just now when that comment was made. Like, I've worked under women. So for me, if you ask me and I actually think about it, I would probably say, well, progress has been made where I've worked professionally, where I've
Right.
especially in sports. Like, it's unheard of for women. They're making great strides in the US in sports, but it's unheard of for women to really go up the ranks in sports. You see Chelsea Football Club, they have Marina, I forget her last name, but she oversees like the transfer business of the club. You have women in the US who I think Becky Hammond, she's a coach. The San Francisco 49ers hired
Ooh,
a woman coach 2 seasons ago or last season. You
I saw
see women
that.
officials entering. And I'm only speaking about these spaces because these are spaces traditionally dominated by men. So no, folks, as I'm going to go back to my comment earlier, because progress is in optics. I want to make that clear. Progress is in optics. So we want to get to a place where I can't pinpoint what I just explained, where
Hmm.
I can't say, well, there's a woman here and there's a woman there. We want it to become so normal, so regular that we don't even notice. Like me, I did not notice until that comment that my last few bosses, since I've been an adult, I can claim being an adult after graduate school. I was
Yes,
still in my
silly.
12s. Michelle, wait for you, Sherry.
Yes, women have made strides in the workplace, but money still lagging.
Yeah, that was shown in stats that we had shared.
Yeah.
She goes on to say, in workplace, socially more groups for females appear to come to the forefront to support each other. I don't think space has been given to women on the golf course where business deals are done. Interesting.
Oh.
Interesting. Well, Leanna plays a lot of golf. I don't know. I mean, I can ask her. She does go on the golf course. She looks like a deal maker. So let's bring Leanna into the conversation, because she look.
She
Folks,
wants a piece of this today.
I'm telling you, she wants a piece. And the way her and Sherry handled me backstage when I didn't know whether to say Happy International Women's Day or not, boy,
It
Let's
was
bring.
the hesitation, Jamal. It was the should I say happy or
Good,
ask
good, good,
Liana.
good morning, Lee. How you doing, sister?
Good morning and happy International Women's Day, Sherry.
Thank you, Lee. Same to
And to
you.
all of our listeners out there.
Absolutely.
I did not have purple in my wardrobe today because I was like, oh
I
man, what's the
know.
color? What's the color? The lipstick's
Purple.
gonna have to suffice for this
Jamal
morning.
didn't know that. He
He
that
did
went
not.
over his
No, he
head
didn't.
earlier. He just caught it.
Why are they picking
Only
on me?
very just recently.
He just caught it.
Look, all I said is I did not know, folks. I did not know if we should say Happy International Women's Day or
Right. But the
that's all.
color for it is purple. Did you catch that? As to why she said she didn't have purple lipstick.
Yeah, I follow him on social media, so I figured purple had something to do with it. Lee, you think women have made progress in Bermuda professionally and socially?
I do, honestly. When I look across various industries, and I know that I believe Karen Simmons, morning Karen, is the one that said it. I believe she said slightly, but in my span of being back home and seeing in comparison to being over in the UK, I believe that women in Bermuda have certainly made they've moved the needle quite significantly on the island when it comes to various industries. Now, I know Jamal had brought up to Sherry, construction work and different things like that. And I know there's been debates about genetic makeups, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel as if Bermudian women are have been or are well representing a number of industries on the island. Like you said, Commissioner of Education, and there's so many. I mean, even the company that I work for is head by a woman as well, so and that's pretty big, especially in the beverage industry. So I feel as if the needle has been pushed significantly when it comes to our island.
You spoke about Commissioner just now, but I think the prisons just appointed their first women commissioner.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Yeah,
and that's big.
Huge. So, we're seeing more and more women, which gives, people like myself, still a young person, making my way up in the ranks and whatnot, and for Sherry as well. But it gives us hope that, all is not lost. This isn't a man's world anymore, and
never been for me. Never been.
But the
movements across the world are just it's amazing to see. And I'm happy to be sitting here as a woman today.
Folks, as you can see, every aspect of my life is women dominated, so I have to be careful what I say. That's been from jump. But let's go to the news break. We've got Katarina Hoskins coming up. International Women's Day should be a good conversation. Folks, you know how I always say, these are the conversations we need to be sharing. We need to be having around the water cooler, at family barbecues, at family arguments. Instead of that politics and religion, let's talk about these things. Over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Jamal and Sherry. And again, happy International Women's Day to everyone tuned in with us. I hope you all are having a great start to the day. I'm Liana Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, in today's top stories, reggae artist Shaggy has been named in a charge against two other people in connection with alleged breaches of COVID-19 rules last summer. Now, prosecutors said that Matthew Strong and Solange Gitchner allegedly aided, counseled, and procured Orville Burrell, whose stage name is Shaggy, to breach one of the COVID-19 rules, in that he, having traveled to Bermuda on June 8th last year, did not quarantine until he received his negative result. Now, the second charge says that the couple failed to take all reasonable steps to maintain appropriate physical distancing by not wearing a mask when one is required. It was also against COVID-19 regulations. Now, the charges followed a raft up, as we know, including dozens of social media influencers brought to the island by U.S. fashion brand Revolve. Now, the case is set to be before Magistrates Court this coming Friday. No charges, however, have been brought against Shaggy himself. In other news, police yesterday launched an appeal for the public's help to locate a former MP who has not been seen since Sunday. 56-year-old Darius Tucker was last seen driving a white van with license plate IN 3074 with a DTS Services logo on the side near Crow Lane at about 4:30 p.m. on Sunday. Now, police say Mr. Tucker was approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall, of medium build, with a brown complexion and brown hair worn in a low cut. Anyone with information on Mr. Tucker's whereabouts should call 211 or the main police telephone number on 295-0011. Meanwhile, Government House has confirmed that former Commissioner of Police Michael De Silva will be the next Ombudsman of Bermuda. Now, the announcement comes after Derek Burgess, the Deputy Speaker of the House, claimed that he had information that Mr. De Silva, who quit as Commissioner in 2018, had been penciled in for the post. Now, Government House said that the appointment followed an open and competitive recruitment process and a recommendation received from the advisory panel established to interview the candidates. And the Bermuda Red Cross has raised more than $86,000 for the Ukraine disaster appeal, which contributed towards the international goal of raising $100 million to assist the nation. Now, the Bermuda Red Cross launched the appeal at the end of last month, shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine. Once the organization has reached their ultimate goal of $100,000, they have pledged to send the funds to the British Red Cross, who will then work directly with the Ukraine Red Cross. The account is said to be open for another 3 months. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent hopes to raise $100 million for Ukrainian refugees. The British Red Cross has raised so far about $36 million. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 72 and a low near 66 degrees. Well, it's another fine and dry, Bermuda-ful day ahead as we see a mix of sun and clouds. High pressure continues to settle and dry theme for the moment. However, later in the week, the high begins to lose its grip on the island, allowing winds to increase and a couple of showers to develop. That's all for our Daily Hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
I'm just going to say, right, somebody beat me to it. As I was listening to your news, I said exactly what Michelle White put. I was thinking it. I'm like, it wasn't me. I was just like, yeah, his about to go to court, say it wasn't me. But give us that day of the year, Sherry.
Okay, of course, today is International Women's Day, and we have a guest that's coming on, so I'm going to let her explain all of that. But in addition to that, we have National Organize Your Home Office Day, and it's observed every year on the second Tuesday of March. The day is to clean up the mess that has accumulated in your home offices and establish a productive, healthy work environment at your home. Let's see what's going on, Jamal.
You see that, right?
Let see what's ahead of you, right? Thanks so much for that, Sherry. And Lee, please do enjoy the rest of your International Women's Day.
Yes, Lee.
Yeah, I'm going to tune into a Zoom link it should be a good conference today. There's quite a panel that's sitting on it. So I believe it's on the BHS website or Facebook page or something, and you can find the link, but there's a great lineup of panelists. So
send the link, guys. Send the link to a brother.
I'll send the link. I will send the link
to a brother. Hopefully I'm invited. I'm allowed in.
You're allowed in, Jamal.
No, we need you.
We'll be right back. We've got Katarina Hoskins. We're talking International Women's Day. Let's stick with
Bye, guys.
Leanna's such a bright light. You know, whenever people reach out to me speaking about how they love her pleasant and engaging personality, it really does warm my heart. You know, she's extremely good at what she does, but even still, she's always looking at ways to improve her craft. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to work with Leanna, and I look forward to watching her grow even more with us. Sherry, what can I say? a bubbly, seasoned, notice I didn't say old, honest, good person, a woman with a purpose who loves to learn, but also holds her own. Due to her background in social work, she usually is very compassionate and understanding, often being the voice of reason in many respects. I'm looking forward to many more conversations with Sherry by my side.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
The history of everyday use of spices extends back thousands of years into antiquity. Since 1976, the Frontier Natural Foods Co-op has been bringing a wide range of exciting and authentic flavors to the table. A comprehensive range of ancient traditional herbs and spices produced organically and sustainably. The results are good news for the environment and more robust, fragrant essential oils in these natural seasonings. This month, we're featuring Frontier Natural Products, at least 95% organic salt-free lemon pepper. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Without further ado, we've got a guest coming up. What Sherry on about?
That was so sweet, Jamal. Look how you just sucked us back in, but that was so sweet. I thought you'd had your mic still turned on. I was like, Jamal still got his mic turned on.
Oh, right. So I'm back on the good side, folks. See how that works?
Yes.
This morning, I didn't say Happy International Women's Day. They were beating me up backstage, and now I'm back on the good side. Marcia Bradshaw says, "Hi, Aunt Sherry and Mr. Jamal, Miss Leanna. Have a great day, Ravi." All right, hey Rav. I haven't met Ravi. I got to meet him someday. He's often watching. Without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day. We've got Katarina Hoskins. And by the way, folks, Leanna, she did say it's BPSU Facebook page, not, I think she said BHS. So, and it looks like our guest today, Katarina Hoskins, was a guest speaker there last year. So we've got royalty in the house. Let's bring in Katarina. I'm saying Karen. Katarina Hoskins. No, one of my former bosses was named Karen, folks. So it's a woman.
She was named.
Yeah. Katarina, welcome to the show. Good morning. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Jamel. Hi, Sherry. Nice to meet you.
Hi, good morning. Happy International Women's Day. Love your purple.
Woo-hoo.
I'm sorry.
Well, I purchased it recently, and the reason I purchased it because the color of the year this year is also purple. So, there's no excuse anymore not to have something purple in your wardrobe, at least for this year.
You know what? I'm going to be a day late with my purple tomorrow. Forgive me. But look, let's get right to the conversation. First off, thank you for trusting our platform to have this conversation. We obviously honored it last year, but what is International Women's Day all about? Like, what's the history and its purpose?
Well, there's a very long history, and I can't take credit for that inventing it. But we started 7 years ago here in Bermuda, and I have to give Jeff Barron credit as well. He was one of the politicians back then, and he worked at the UN. And we were talking, and he said, "Hey, it's International Women's Day coming up. Why don't we do something in Bermuda?" And of course, I had only twin boys. They were about 3 years old. I was like, "Yeah, I have nothing else to do, so let's organize an event." And so we did. The first 2 years were. We started off at City Hall. We marched through town, collected money. which we then donated to the Women's Resource Center, which the charity is still our partner to this day, and all the money we raise goes towards the Women's Resource Center. So it just evolved from there. In year 3, we then started also having speakers at City Hall, and it just turned into this really powerful, great event outside City Hall. We have the mayor opening the event. We always have a premier, U.S. consul, a deputy, or the governor coming. So it really turned into a international/local event where we try to include everyone.
And tell me, why is a day like this so important for us to recognize and celebrate in 2022?
Well, I think it's important just talking about it. As you said, make this a dinner conversation, make this a conversation within your firms or your companies. I think it has taken so long for women to be at the table, and by no means we don't want to be favored. We just want to be equal, because we do need men as well. I mean, that has to be said as well. Men have really great qualities which accompany the qualities of women. But as you know, there is this mandatory quota of women in the higher positions in companies that are maybe on the stock exchange market, and there was a big outroar about it. How, this is not going to work, and women, if we have to hire women because it's mandatory now. All this talk, but if you look at the qualities that women bring, we are loyal, we are collaborative, we are reasonable, we are flexible, we are expressive, we plan for future. These are all qualities that females bring, but these are also qualities for leadership. So, I'm not surprised that you've brought up so well, we're surrounded by women, that you don't even recognize it, because this is the way forward. And I'm sure you adopted some of these qualities.
Thank you.
Take it easy, Katarina. Take it easy. We don't want to do too much. But, speak to us about this year's theme, Break the Bias. What does this mean?
Well, I think it couldn't be any better theme for this year, Break the Bias. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, there are certain things you don't really recognize a woman to be in that position, like in the building industry, or driving a truck, or in the military. I mean, if we can pause and just take a second and to think about all of what's going on in the Ukraine at the moment. But why is it that women are not seen in these positions, like in the military or in the construction industry? Why is it that we always have this picture of a man holding a gun, or a picture of a man holding a screwdriver? Just to compare it. I mean, this is all biased thinking of us, right? If you think of a house woman, or I call it a domestic engineer, do you think of someone female with an apron on, or do you think of a male? I mean, it's just how we grew up. And to this day, I'm from Austria, so my mother is still at home cooking lunch for my dad every day. He comes home at 12:10, and the lunch has to be on the table, and it's just this prejudice, really. And I'm with two twin boys at home, and my husband, which is lovely, and he supports me in all of my doings. I'm trying to change that outlook, so we have still a long way to go, but I think we are on the right track, especially if we just take this one day a year to celebrate women and to celebrate their achievements.
Indeed.
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about an island mindset as well. We endoctrinate some of the same things. So how can we as women of Bermuda break the biases that we see happening on our island?
I think endurance is the right word for it. We just have to be persistent and do it over and over again. And no matter what others think about, oh, she's really running around with her purple shirt and shouting, celebrate International Women's Day. Eventually it will become normal, and eventually it will reverse, and people will then recognize, okay, well, this is not my place to be or showcase my skills. Why don't I give a female the chance to do the same? And especially I've been working in the financial industry for quite a long time, and seeing what has happened there within the last 7, 10, 20 years, it's been amazing. I mean, all these policies that have been now introduced in the various international companies, diversity, integrity, and equality, for example, there are committees now that companies incorporate that have versatility, and they integrate their policies into their manuals. And it's now mandatory to have that mindset, to have meetings not just once a year, but on a quarterly basis. Some companies organize brown bag lunches where they bring speakers, female speakers, who outline these issues. And there will be always that man that says, wow, I don't think a woman could be this or that position. But, let's leave it there. There's no need to change that mindset yet. Eventually it will come, and eventually we will have the ability to take on jobs where in the old days people would have thought, no, that can't be done by a woman. But come on, we have with today's technology, why would we not be able to take on positions that have not been taken on by women before?
Yeah, it's I'm just hopeful for one day that we can just put some pieces of paper in front of us without names, and people pick based on the ability that they see presented, before you even know if it's a man or a woman. With that being said, what can we expect to see, and how can women participate in this year's activities?
So I want to give a big shout out to all the companies and all the organizations that are doing something for today's day or in the next few days leading up to it. I know there've been already a few events happening, and for example, the Chambers of Commerce will also have an event on the 18th of March, where they are bringing in this amazing speaker from Canada who teaches people how to negotiate. So tune into that as well. And we will be drawing free tickets for this event later today. But so today's event at City Hall it's all about self-reflection and self-care this year. Because of the pandemic and what we've experienced in the last 2 years, women have been undergoing, additional stress through the pandemic. Whether it's through mental health, whether it's through adding more to their work plate with the homeschooling, with additional responsibilities in their job, or being frontline workers. I mean, this all has been added to our plate. So this year's, we are actually not having speakers per se at City Hall, but we are putting up a selfie wall for all of you to come out and take a selfie, acknowledge what you've achieved in the last 2 years, and also pledge for International Women's Day and show your support.
Wow. And I've seen some of the selfie pictures and people doing their videos and different departments. So that's been really cool. Where can people find out more information moving forward, either about your organization and the activities that are going on right now?
Yeah. So we are on Facebook and on Instagram and on LinkedIn. You can find us at IWD Bermuda, so International Women's Day Bermuda. And if you want to partake in today's event, just come out. We will be there from 10 to 3 outside City Hall. At 12:30, we have the Coral Beats drummers come out and kind of open the stage for the award giving. We are awarding a Woman of the Year. This is the third year we are doing it, and it will be a handover from last year's Woman of the Year. And I can just tell you, the Woman of the Year that we appointed this year deserves it 1,000%. And we are so happy that she accepted and that she's coming out to take on this award.
Love
Oh,
it.
awesome. You got Jamal at LinkedIn. He's gonna
That's my platform, folks. That's my platform. But if you have any questions for Katarina, please send them through. We'll try to get through as many questions as possible. Comments as well. But Traveling Trotty has a question, Katarina. She says, what is one action or policy Bermuda needs to break the bias for women on our island?
What is the action? Well, I think, as I said, just be persistent. And I was talking also to some of the cabinet members, and they are actually going to start a committee going forward where they are going to address issues like women's equality, like Black Lives Matter, like other issues. And this will be a separate committee where also people from the public, like us, from other organizations, will be members of. So I think that's a really good step forward already. But I mean, for yourself, just make a list and see like what is there that really matters for you, and what do you want to achieve. And again, it's baby steps. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think if we are persistent and just doing it, enduring it, like the Nike slogan, just do it. You will get there. And there are so many organizations supporting you, whether it's We Speak, whether it's 100 Women in Finance, whether it's the United Nations, or even the Chambers of Commerce is doing amazing work. So there are so many outlets these days that you can reach out, and please feel free to reach out to us, and we can push you in the right direction.
Indeed. Shikarina's asking, will the events of today be live streamed?
Good point. We will try to live stream it on Facebook, and I'm not the techie person, so please don't hold me to it.
No worries.
We do have our social media team, and I'll make a suggestion to do that right away. Or we probably will start at 1:00 with the live streaming when we announce the Woman of the Year. But yes, good point, guys. I hope you heard that. Get ready to live stream.
No worries, no worries. We have another one. We've got Michelle White. She says, does the Woman of the Year have responsibilities for the upcoming year before she hands over to the new recipient next year? If so, where can we see her?
Well, she is already very visible, but I don't want to say any more. But I think I don't want to say too much. She is already doing so much for the Bermuda community. She's been a frontline worker, and I don't want to say more.
I think, honestly, I think I know who it is, and I'm not going to say more either. I'm not going to say more. I think you literally just explained enough just now. But I want to ask you, to wrap it up, the question of the morning was, has Bermuda made enough progress with women professionally and socially? And one of the points I made is optics is not progress, right? Optics is not progress, because we can go down a list. And like I said, about 4 years ago, a gentleman was telling me, oh, Bermuda's made a lot of progress. We've had 3 women leaders. We've had women in these positions, women here, this and that. Do you believe, as the person one of the people at the forefront of International Women's Day, do you believe Bermuda has made enough progress with women professionally and socially?
There's never enough progress. I agree with that. It always could go faster, but as I said, it's not about the speed of things. I think it's about the quality of how we are doing and how we are progressing. As I said, 7 years ago, I mean, it's all about the optics, right? The government always likes to come out and represent themselves, and in fairness, they are doing a great job with including women, with having women on the forefront. But just hearing that they are going to build a committee, this took only 7 years till they decided this is actually the way forward. So, we need to be patient. We need to be patient with these things, and it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, I was just watching a documentary about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Supreme Court Justice in the United States. I mean, what a story that is.
Yeah.
And she's been there on her own. I mean, we have now the support of so many already. So it doesn't matter how much progress we made, as long as we are making progress and as long as companies are coming on board, as long as the government is agreeing to come on board. I think the next step, we are also drawing in schools. We are also promoting our event to the schools. And for the last 5 years, we had schools participating, and we had girls speaking, head girls speaking from various schools at our events. And it was just, I had goosebumps and tears in my eyes sometimes when I hear all these fascinating stories from these young individuals, and it just fills my heart with joy to hear how they speak and how they see the world in the future.
Indeed. Well, I want to say, Katarina, thank you so much for trusting our platform. I love conversations like this. They're learning and teaching moments for so many of us. We are wishing you the best today. I think I have an idea of who the Woman of the Year is, but I'm not going to share that. But I'll say this much: keep doing what you're doing. It's needed in our community, and please know that. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I just want to mention our sponsors, because it's really essential to know how many sponsors we have on board this year. Our founding international sponsor is Ernst & Young. Our founding local sponsor is Wakefield Quinn, my husband's company. Woohoo! Butterfield, Willis Tower Watson, Hiscox Re, Appleby and Appleby Global Partners, Zurich Reinsurance, KPMG, Bacardi, Munich Re, ICS Tires, Apex, and we also have Butterfield and Vallis providing drinks and snacks and apples today, and Solstice provided some free sessions for the for the Women's Resource Center to take advantage of their services.
All righty. Thank you so much. Like I said, keep doing what you do, and please know you don't have to wait until next year this time to come back if there's something you want to share.
Thank you very much, Jamal and Sherry, and have a great day.
You as well.
You as well.
Have a great one. All righty. Thanks so much. If you appreciated that conversation with Katarina Hoskins, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you're sharing these kind of conversations with people. Karen Simmons, actually, she said being patient goes back to my point of having to compromise and give up opportunities as women. Why do we have to be patient continuously? And Kevin Trotty says, good point. Very good point. We're going to take a quick break. We have a question coming up. We have the Daily Play. I want to see how many Bermudians, how many of you need to go back to school on this one? Stick with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back to wrap it up and give you that Daily Play.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, There's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right, welcome back, Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. Thanks again to One Communications, People's Pharmacy, Medical House, and Lenders for ensuring we're able to do this. If you appreciated today's conversation and discussion, make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, and make sure you're sharing these conversations. They are helpful and needed in our community. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, are you ready?
Sure, Jamel.
All right, so remember when, folks, this is going to test the knowledge of the audience. Here we go. Who was Bermuda's first female lawyer?
Dame Lois Brown Evans.
Oh boy. I was like, she's not gonna do this. She's not gonna do this. In 1953, Dame Lois Brown Evans became Bermuda's first female lawyer.
Yes.
Sherry got it, folks. Yes, Karen got it too. Yep. Dame Lois Brown Evans, Bermuda's first female lawyer. Yes, she had a lot of firsts to her name, but that was one of them.
I'm so proud of myself. Oh my goodness.
I'm proud too. The air horn doesn't get used often, so I'm happy.
Look, don't erase everything that you done well this morning.
Okay. Yeah, you go, Sherry. That's what I should have said.
Thank you, Sheikah.
Anyway, final thoughts on today's show, Sherry. What you got?
I'm loving, happy International Women's Day, just period. Have we made strides in the community and strides in Bermuda? Yes, we have. But to Karen's point, we don't need to patiently wait, but we need to continue to make those strides, make some noise, and be in positions that we are able to do. As far as International Women's Day, I say let's celebrate that day. Not just that day, celebrate it all year round and continue to make strides even in those areas. So
yeah. I when it comes to progress, I'll just repeat what I've said a number of times on today's show. Progress is not optics. And I believe that there are people in positions that have a responsibility to create policies that give people the opportunity in a fair place to live. And so some of those people, unfortunately, are men. I always say when it comes to conscription, people who are not at risk at being conscripted shouldn't have a say in it. So should men really have a say in what benefits women overall? That said, I appreciate it, Katarina Hoskins, for stopping by for the conversation and the work that they're doing. It's nothing wrong with highlighting all that's good in the community, and my hope is that this leads to change, necessary change that brings about a better Bermuda. I know you've got some daily inspiration for us, Sherry, and I just know.
Not having the best situation, but seeing the best in your situation is key to happiness, and that's Marie Forleo.
I like that one. Well, folks, do you have an idea who you think the Woman of the Year is going to be?
A little, but I'm not sure.
All right, so I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you on this side after we got over here, and then I'm telling you I'm right, and then tomorrow you can tell the audience whether I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
All right. All righty. Well, I think she kind of gave some hints. All right. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lenders, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. Folks, make it a safe and great day. And let me say, if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to our website. Make sure you're engaging on our social media platforms. Because we are going to be doing another giveaway this Friday, based on who's been engaging on our social media. So there's questions that are on our social media. There are things to engage with. So make sure you're engaging so that you have a chance to win. All right, Sherry. See you tomorrow. Peace. You can't win. Cheers, folks. Peace out.